welcome back to my channel. My name is Juliet Lex here on YouTube. Hello, welcome. Today we're checking a video by the InternetsNathan. He's one of my favorite YouTubers. Super entertaining, super informative. I love the videos that he comes out with. And today we're gonna take it back. We're gonna watch a video on SM Entertainment, and it's gonna be linked in the description below if you want to check it out for yourself. It's called SM Entertainment Timeline, the company that started it all. This is gonna be very interesting. The K-pop, industry, the K-pop universe, right? It's very different than what I'm used to here in the States, okay? There are two different ways of making music, with the trainee system and the censorship in the Korean media. It's just different than here in the US. We do have censorship, but it's not as restrictive as it is over there. You can pretty much say whatever you want here and that's just the way it is, right, in music. But over there it's just there's like a system, there's like a guideline, there's like certain things you gotta do, and it's working for them. They're incredibly successful, and it's cool to see that SM is kind of like the pioneer in that. And yeah, it's gonna be cool to see and check that out. SM does have some of my favorite artists. With the very first K-pop group I checked out ever was Super Junior. One of my friends was a huge K-pop fan and K-drama fan, and she showed me Super Junior. She showed me Girls' Generation. So yeah, I like them. They have some of my favorite sounds. You can just automatically tell when a song is SM. And so it's going to be interesting to see how that kind of developed and how they became this huge deal within the K-pop industry. And just in general, like, there's just so much when it comes to SM that's just like, I know they have a JYP. He has a JYP one as well. And I believe he has a big hit one. So if you guys are interested in checking that out, we can check the other ones as well. That'd be fun. And yeah, so without further ado, let's go ahead and hop in to SM Entertainment Timeline, the K-pop company that started it all. Where am I at today? I don't know. Linked in the description below. Go check out the InternetsNathan if you don't already, but I'm pretty sure if you're a K-pop fan, you kind of know the InternetsNathan. So, yeah, it's gonna be cool to check out.
Many of you know SM Entertainment for being one of the first big K-pop companies that literally created the K-pop trainee model for all future groups to come. But SM is creating much more than just music, even food. So let's take a look at how SM Entertainment was founded, made what K-pop is today, and how they produce some of the most successful groups for each generation, from HOT to Aespa. Here is SM Entertainment's complete timeline. Now, everything starts way back in time to the 1970s. An up-and-coming solo singer called SuperM started making hit songs in Korea. After beginning his entertainment career, he created a band. This band wouldn't last, as SuperM found it challenging to release music with the strict censorship of the Korean government at the time.
I said that.
Seeing not much left for him to do in Korea, he went to study computer science in
Wow!
America. While working
You went
on
to Cal
his master's
State?
degree at California State University
Dope.
in LA, SuperM was amazed by the king of pop and music superstar Michael Jackson. Watching his music videos on MTV inspired him to do something more. SuperM would return to Korea in 1985 with a vision. As he put it, with a vision of what the Korean music industry could be. But once he stepped foot in Korea, it wasn't that easy to start a new music company. SuperM began working in Korean entertainment once again as a DJ and presenter, saving most of his money for the next 4 years until 1989, where he finally had enough to create his music label SM Studio. Using his initials SuperM for the SM part. SM Studio went ahead to sign their first ever artist, Hyun Jin-young, a rapper and hip-hop artist that helped popularize hip-hop in Korea. At this time, K-pop was not even a thing yet, until the vision of SuperM mentioned was brought to light. What he specifically had in mind was the K-pop training system you see today. Sure, artists before then trained in singing and dancing before debuting, but SM Studio would take it a step further. SuperM implemented a rigorous training system with monthly evaluations, adding public speaking to teach the trainees how to interact in interviews, teaching stage presence, setting his artists apart from others while performing, And of course, the strict.
What the heck? Was that Johnny? Pre-debut Johnny? If you guys don't know, I love NCT and NCT's subunits, with Wavy being one of my favorites within the NCT umbrella. Johnny is one of my biases in the group. He's hilarious. He's so funny. It's cool to watch, a pre-debut Johnny
rules,
here.
like no drinking, smoking, or driving. This new system was in top gear when SM Studio officially changed its name to SM Entertainment in 1995. SM's first K-pop group
1995?
and the first ever really K-pop group was HOT. HOT debuted and they brought in what would be the first generation of K-pop, but they didn't really call it at the time. The boy group was a smash hit with younger listeners, starting the first waves that would lead to the rise of Korean entertainment in Asia by moving into China and Japan a bit over time. With many going through the SM trainee system now, it was time for a girl group in 1997. SES was named after the three members' stage names initials, and if SM's first boy group HOT was a monster rookie, SES was even bigger. Their debut album, I'm Your Girl, sold 650,000 copies and made SES the second best-selling girl group in Korea, with only one album. Just 2 years after HOT, SM Entertainment prepared another boy group. Shinhwa debuted in 1990.
Shinhwa? Isn't Shinhwa still
HOT
like
and
kicking?
SES found fans and success soon after debut. Shinhwa's story was a bit different. Many critics of the group claim Shinhwa's music was just a copy-paste of HOT's sound. Also, the group faced their own controversy that probably caused their first comeback to perform below average. It was so bad that there was talks about Shinhwa already disbanding. But luckily, their next few comebacks found the group's popularity rise, and Shinhwa is one of the only first-generation K-pop groups that are still going strong.
Yeah,
today,
they're still kicking, right?
in SM Entertainment. SM would then take a break from back-to-back groups and focus on new firsts for the company, including their first duo R&B group Fly to the Sky in 1999, and their first solo artist, simply known as BoA, in 2000.
BoA debuted in 2000? Jeez. That's like 21 years, 22 years of career? Jeez.
While most artists that came out of SM Entertainment by now weren't much of a gamble after the system worked to perfection, BoA's debut was another story. BoA was only 11 years old, and what made it even harder was SM Entertainment had a plan to debut her both in Korea and Japan at the same time, but focusing more on building recognition in Japan first. BoA spent so much time in Japan that many Koreans thought she was a Japanese artist. BoA would turn out to be a rising star in Korea and, more importantly, Asia. Aside from Japan, SM Entertainment with BoA made moves in China,
If you hear noises, my brother's coming home from
did
school.
so much groundwork for the
that.
company that even SuperM gave her credit for basically saving SM Entertainment when their first group's contracts were coming to an end. BoA's
Wow,
success
look at me,
brought
no.
in a whole new generation of SM artists. The first groups I mentioned, HOT and SES, disbanded in 2001 and 2002. That was a huge blow for SM Entertainment. Those groups were the real and only money makers for the company, besides BoA. But BoA wasn't really enough to fund SM Entertainment's business ventures in Japan to set up a new sub-label. So the duo Isaac and Jiyeon and boy group Blackbeat made their debut in K-pop. But both artists gained very little public attention and their careers were very short-lived. But one thing they could rely on is SM's trainee system yet again, to find and train SM Entertainment's new boy group to compete with other groups from growing companies.
TVXQ?
This was a 5-member group called TVXQ. TVXQ debuted in 2003. Quickly, SM Entertainment learned, hey, wait a minute guys, we make groups good. As TVXQ debuted with little praise until their first comeback that got them multiple wins on music shows. But one thing SM didn't do good was contracts. TVXQ would be reduced to only 2 members because Jaejung, Yuchun, and Junsu requested a split from the group, which eventually turned into a little lawsuit. The members of TVXQ had 13-year-long contracts, almost double the average K-pop contracts today at only 7 years. They would leave and create their own group JYJ, and TVXQ continued with Yeonho and Changmin. Following 2 years, we saw new groups like Trax, an EDM-focused trio in 2004, and a new girl group called The Grace in 2005. But the year 2005 was also the year SM Entertainment would take on the challenge of a much larger group with 13 members. Super Junior would continue from where HOT left off. Soon enough, with commercial success of major hits like Sardi Sardi, Korean media labeled Super Junior the kings of the Hallyu wave, with how successful and well received their music was outside of Korea, bringing K-pop to newfound lands like Southeast Asia, Saudi Arabia, and Latin America. Places many thought K-pop would never catch on. Aside from
Super Junior's freaking huge in Mexico, okay? Huge in Mexico, okay? I'm talking big. Yeah. I know the appeal though. As Mexican American, I don't know why they're so huge in Mexico. It's nothing like K-pop in the Western media, especially even in Mexico. There's just nothing like it. So I understand the appeal.
Few solo artists coming out of SM Entertainment, the next 3 years would see the additions of groups that would be why many of you watching right now got into K-pop. 2007, Girls' Generation debuts. 2008, SHINee debuts. And 2009, FX debuts. They didn't know it yet, but Girls' Generation would become the most iconic girl group in K-pop and Korean music history, becoming the best-selling girl group in Korea and Japan for over 10 years. And because of their impact on culture, Girls' Generation was honored with the name the nation's girl group. SHINee brought in fashion and performance to K-pop.
Yes, sir. That's my alarm clock.
During their career, they weren't scared to experiment with a new sound or a new look. SHINee was the first SM Entertainment group to really break away from what SM was known for. Now, FX also followed SHINee when it came to being unique in a time where K-pop was catching on with the success of Girls' Generation. FX stood out immediately, crushing the girl group image, blending in with different concepts. Also, Amber, the group's rapper from America, started the, I guess for the lack of a better term, tomboy look. Many groups would copy later on. If you notice, SM Entertainment is the first to do a lot of what would become trends in K-pop. In 2010, after building his company into the music empire it is, Lee Soo-man resigned from his board of directors position. He would take this opportunity to work on businesses outside of SM Entertainment.
Wow.
SM would experience their highest earning year in 2010 since the company's creation, bringing in 22.7 billion won, a 58% increase from last year. Oh, that's 20 million US dollars, if you're wondering. 2012 saw the next phenomenon to come with
EXO.
SM. We all know EXO. As a 12-member group, they would function as two though, because some members were scouted from China. Tao, Chris, Lay, and Nuhan. EXO-K would promote in Korea, while EXO-M would promote in China, a strategy SM would use in future groups. EXO as a whole quickly became a top boy group in K-pop for years, till now. In 2013, SM Entertainment had their most significant lawsuits that saw the falling out of the Chinese members of EXO. Chris started the movement when he mentioned the company mistreated him and other Chinese members compared to the Korean members. Soon after, Tao and Luhan filed their own lawsuits, and after some time, they would lose the cases and have to finish out their contracts before leaving SM, which they did. But brushing that under the rug, 2014 would be known for at
Oh, look, a little headshot, a little Yeti.
Third girl group debuted, introducing the third generation of K-pop. Red Velvet teased their versatility as a group in pre-debut projects like Be Natural. They would have two sides, a red side which represented their pop side, and a velvet side which was their R&B side. They debuted as 4, however, and wouldn't become 5, we recognize them as now, until their first comeback with Ice Cream Cake, welcoming their newest member, Yeti. The good thing is, the public started to love Red Velvet with the release of Ice Cream Cake, and it's been a steady climb up since. Although it wasn't easy, Red Velvet became the pride of Korea soon enough. I know it's really not surprising to hear that SM Entertainment was about to do something crazy yet again. This time, it was announced at a press conference in 2016, held by Lee Soo-man. Now, while this looks like a plan to take over the world, well, actually, it was.
결정체가 될 SM New Artist Group NCT의 티저 영상과 퍼포먼스를 보였습니다. 그런데 이 팀의 NCT는 Neo Culture Technology.
Neo Culture Technology, aka the boy group NCT, was a one-of-a-kind group. While EXO split up into two groups, NCT was meant to split up into infinite groups with endless members. You know, like cells, you know, they split and, you know, science. It all started when the first unit in 2016, NCTU, debuted.
Open your eyes.
And as you can tell, this group was going to be unlike anything we've seen before. Then there was NCT 127, a unit representing Seoul, where all the members came from.
Cha.
Then there was NCT Dream, a unit with a younger age range of members. Then later on in 2018, SM would try to target the Chinese-speaking audience with Wavy. Another spin-off of NCT with Chinese, Thai, and members from Hong Kong. All these subunits fell under the NCT umbrella. They even all assembled together like the Avengers for a yearly jam-out session. SM literally built an immortal, infinite supergroup.
Okay, we're gonna talk a little bit about NCT, okay? Because it's one of my favorite groups in K-pop. The possibilities within their music is just endless, okay? And someone who loves music and who breathes music and who just cannot live without music, NCT is like something just out of this world, okay? I adore them so much. It's just, music is good, the personalities are great, they work well together, they work well in different units. It just works for them. And you can tell they all like what they're doing, and I love it. And I think it's such a unique concept and such a power move on SM to be like, all right, we're gonna make this big ass group and we're just gonna have different groups within this big ass group, but everybody's gonna come in together and we're gonna sell millions, billions, trillions. That's insane. That's insane. On paper, imagine pitching that to your company. Like, this is the group we're gonna do next. Like, I would have been like, no, that's a huge risk. We're not taking that risk. Heck no. But look, it works. It works. Insane. Let's go.
Then the company would take a time to get into the food business with SUM or SUM Market. They were using their copyright on their group's names and likenesses to slap it on some food and home products. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'd still buy a Sugi candle.
I would. I like Sogi. She's pretty.
Maybe I'd get 5 or 10. I don't know. With SM Entertainment naturally looking to be the first in everything, one thing they weren't the first at was breaking into the US market successfully. That is, until the explosion of BTS in 2018. SM saw this chance and made K-pop's first ever
SuperM.
SM made a big deal out of their next group, SuperM, combining members from EXO, SHINee, and NCT to form K-pop's supergroup. However, they wouldn't promote in Korea, but take on America. SM signed
to Capital, bro.
Music Records and spent who knows how many millions to debut SuperM in the US in 2019.
We're here to celebrate the release of their debut EP, the first mini album, SuperM.
They would make the rounds on US TV, and much to many people's surprise, SuperM became the first Korean act to hit #1 on the Billboard 200 with a US debut. Now, I know it feels like it's been a decade, but 2020 was the year the Earth seemed to stop spinning, and most people were stuck inside with nothing to do. SM Entertainment looked at this and saw another opportunity. They signed a partnership with Naver to bring you Beyond Live.
Innovative, bro. So innovative.
The technology of Beyond Live. SM artists and non-SM artists alike, like Twice, used it to still hold concerts for the world to see, but virtually. Then the company expanded its trainee system into actual school education. SM's Institute is a K-pop academy for both Korean and international aspiring artists to study and train.
They're having a thing right now, right? Did that already start? I don't remember, but they are scouting around the world, all nationalities. You just got to be born at a certain time frame, which is like, I think 15 and younger, I think, which is crazy to think. Crazy that these idols are getting younger and younger. But they are scouting, I know that.
Expected to open in 2021. So, if you're interested, I wonder what kind of food they serve. Anyways, Lee Soo-man then did something very interesting and out of the ordinary. He got involved in the production of the hashtag album of the girl group Luna in 2020. That was the first time he ever worked on another group's music outside of his own company. Could there be more collabs in the future? And the last move by SM Entertainment is the newest girl group to debut after 6 years since the last. Aespa definitely made headlines with their whole virtual group concept. They teased that Aespa would be made of half human and half virtual members, reflecting the actual number of members in the virtual world. It was a bit strange, let's be honest, but it could be another trend, just like how SM did many times before. Aespa debuted with Black Mamba, and those concerns about the virtual members faded away, as the debut was well received. But we'll have to wait to see what Aespa will truly become. If SM Entertainment is recognized for anything, it's basically creating the modern K-pop group and trainee system. They stay as one of Korea's biggest entertainment companies because they're looking for new ways to innovate and not wait for someone to do it first and then follow. SM Entertainment is a major leader in Korean music from day one for the last 25 years. And I see no end in sight.
Nope. Dang. How interesting. It's so cool to see how the genre has evolved throughout the years, right? Like, that's so interesting to watch and craziness. Yeah, SM has some of the most unique groups, some of the most unique sounds, and it works for them. They kind of lead the way, right? Sometimes, no matter how strange it is, it works for them. Like, for me, it took me a while to kind of get used to some of NCT's music. When I first, delve into NCT, I was like, this music's a little strange. It's a little disoriented. But as time went by and I kept listening, and I ended up really enjoying it, and now they're one of my favorite groups, and I think I consume more NCT content than I do any other group at this point. My favorite group, I said this before, is GOT7. Currently right now they're on hiatus, right? But that kind of made me look at other groups, and as NCT being one of those groups, and now I consume a whole lot of NCT on my own time. Yeah, I don't want to say I like every single song that comes out, but I do enjoy the majority, and I think as of right now, Wavy is the group that's musical content I really enjoy. It's more up my alley. It's they got some bangers, especially the B-sides, and yeah, Aespa's not really my cup of tea. Some of their music is not something that I actively go out and search for. I don't know about the whole virtual reality thing. I'm not such a huge fan that I know what's up with their fandom. But what they're doing with Aespa is working, because they're one of the biggest groups at such a short amount of time of debut, and it's working for them. And even groups like Super Junior that are still around, Boa that's still making music, Shinhwa, even though Shinhwa, they said that it's not under SM, but still, like, groups like Shiny, who've been around and are still making music. It's obviously working for them. The longevity that these idols have within the industry, it's obviously something's going on. That's working, right? I really enjoyed this. Again, InternetsNathan, link in the description below. Go check it out. Like I said, he has other ones on different groups if you want, different companies if you want me to watch it. I might watch the JYP next because, like I said, my favorite group being GOT7. I would like to see. I know he has one that I've already seen of like what happened to GOT7. I've already seen it, and it's really, really good. So I'm not gonna watch that one. But if there's any other thing you guys want me to watch, let me know, and I will do my best to do. Till next time, adios, bye.